Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever and wherever you are. This is Coach Lee, and we're working on speech anxiety in all its forms. And we're talking with IBROSS. Say hello, IBROSS.
Hello.
IBROSS is from, don't tell me, London. And um, he wrote me originally that he was the worst stutterer you'll ever hear. He said, quote, I'm the worst stutterer you'll ever hear, unquote. And I quote that because I don't think he's stuttering much anymore, and he doesn't really need to stutter at all. And that's what we're trying to get him over that hump. And the thing about it is, even when you do that, a lot of people do that. They'll do it for a week or a few days or a month or whatever, and then they quit and go racing off into happy space. And within a couple of months, they're right back where they started. You have to stay with this program until you don't plan words under pressure, as you just did a minute ago. You don't force words that you plan. If you plan them, you don't do that. You don't say them. You say something else. Or you stop talking. When you start feeling pressure, as evidenced by planning a word or trying to force one, then you know you need to stop talking, take it to account, and start again with your speech plan. What is your speech plan?
My speech plan is pronunciation, speaking with passion, short think stop, and also speaking while smiling as well.
You know, um, all of those things are good, and individually or any combination of them or all of them will work, provided your brain is focused on them with enough intensity to block the habit. It's kind of like lifting a weight. If you're trying to curl 5 pounds, you don't have to think about it. It's real light. You can do it real easily. If I give you 25 pounds, then you have to think about it a bit. If I give you 35 or more, now you got to think about it a lot. And with a stutter, depending upon how severe it is, and you're the guy who said you used to. I like the past tense. I used to be the worst stutterer I knew. That's fine as part of the past. I was pretty darn good myself at stuttering at one time. So, I understand. And I did all the things that you did, really. Um, so it's a question of how much you think about the weight. If you're trying to curl 35 pounds and your mind is kind of wandering around the room, out the window, you're not going to curl it. It's too heavy. And the same thing with these things that you're thinking: whisper, passions, smile, gesticulate, etc. All these things individually work and collectively they work, provided your focus is enough. But if the problem is focus, the habit, as you know, is it was extremely strong. It dominated your brain. And you kind of beat up on it, you banged it around a lot and punched it a bunch, and you kind of shoved it, you're kind of standing on it, but it's still squirming a little bit. So we got to put it out of its misery.
Yes.
To do that, I'm not inside your brain, so I can't know what trigger, how much focus, what's the best way to get you focused? Now, part of me says we ought to revert to a very simple speech plan like short-link-stop and just think nothing else. I mean, short, you either practice short or you don't. When I speak to you right now, I'm speaking in short increments. This is the way that I ask you to speak when your speech plan is short, link, stop, or short, link, stop, short, link, stop, one word. It's either one word or it's 3 words with a 1-second stop. You pick. I don't care which you do, and neither does anyone else. No one cares. They're quite happy with you and your speech. Either way, they don't care. They just want to understand what you have to say. They get their own problems. Hearing what you say is part of their day, but they got to get moving. And that's why, I mean, I don't think stutterers should think that the world needs to wait for them and kowtow to them and treat them like cripples. You're not a cripple. And you don't want to be one.
I agree.
So, I mean, you're stepping up to the plate. You're going to get a hit, period, just like anyone else. So, all right. So what do you think? Well, let me ask you. Well,
Yeah.
I'll ask you. Do you think I don't want to put thought, I don't want you to say what you think I want you to say. I want you to say what you think, what you feel.
Okay.
Because that's the only way I really know what's going on in here. So, do you think you should stick with your present speech plan, which has a lot of elements, and maybe that's where you ought to be, even so? Or do you think we should simplify your plan and make it as simple as possible, and it's kind of like you're thinking about that one weight you're curling as opposed to you're kind of juggling a bunch of weights or balls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you think we should just focus on one or short link stop, or do you think we should stay with the longer plan?
I'd rather focus on one speech plan.
Okay.
However, I really find it beneficial to a point of pronunciation because I use that all of the time and it helps me focus on 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 my mouth rather than my words.
Okay. Do you think that it should be, let's consider some options. Short link stop or short pronunciation stop or short link pronunciation stop or something else?
I would say pronunciation and short think stop.
Okay.
Combine those together somehow.
Okay. Now look, when you're fluent, when you're in the shower
Yeah.
or walking your dog, you're fluent and you don't need to do anything. You can just talk like a magpie, like that's a bird that talks a lot.
Exactly.
You can talk like a magpie. Most stutterers can. But the minute you feel pressure, it doesn't work. So the question is, what does it take for you or any individual, everyone's a little different, to break the habit under pressure? How much do we need to use the speech plan just under pressure, or do we need to use the speech plan all the time? I tend to recommend to people that they use it all the time, and then make it like, you know, they do it until it's like they know it like the back of their hand.
Mhm.
You flip the switch. I mean, you start talking, and automatically you're doing short link stop plus pronunciation. So okay, so do you think it should be short link pronunciation stop, or short pronunciation link stop, or something else?
I'd say the second option.
Okay, well that was, I don't remember which it was. Short pronunciation link stop, is that it?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, all right. All right, okay. The rest of this session,
Mhm.
not one word out of your trap unless you are thinking short pronunciation link stop. You want to write it down and look at it as you talk, because I'm going to ask you questions and I expect you to answer doing this.
Okay, let me write this down.
Okay, all right. All right. Okay, so now you're on the witness stand, so to speak, and you get to answer questions, and you're following your script. That's your script. Your speech plan is your script. You're like an actor on the stage. This is what you got to do. You know, if I hadn't stuttered, I was going to be an actor. I was a very good singer when I was a kid.
Mhm.
I was live on the radio when I was 12 and stuff like that. I was good. But I couldn't do it because I stuttered. I mean, I couldn't say too much stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that. But you're still a pup by my definition,
Mhm.
you know, and you're the age of my you're about the middle age of my grandchildren. I got 13 of them,
Wow.
5 boys and 8 girls. Anyway, nobody stutters in the family before me or since me. Just I was the only one.
Mhm.
So doesn't make any no sense. Anyway, okay, so here we go. All right. Since we last talked, what has it been? A week, 2 weeks? What has it been?
It's been 2 weeks.
Okay.
Actually,
And
2 weeks.
so during this period of time, what have you done on a daily basis to improve your speech?
I have been doing my mind training. However, because I was on a holiday, I did not do as much reading as I'd like.
So you did mind training how many times a day?
2 times a day.
Okay. And how long did you spend on each session?
It would be 10 minutes each.
Okay. And the reading aloud, how much did you do of that daily?
It wasn't that much. However, I only done it around 4 times as I was on a 2-week holiday.
Now, your speech is pretty good, but right now, but you know what's the worst part of it?
Mhm.
Linking.
Yeah.
You're not linking tightly enough. You got to breathe through it like you're singing. You are putting in spaces, and that means you got to challenge your habit of forcing words. I don't think you're planning every word you're saying. I don't think you are,
Yeah.
but you are forcing quite a few words. You say, well, how can I be forcing if I'm not planning? Habit. It's just a habit. So you don't want to your habit wants you to force words because that's what you do, but you don't need to. That's the whole point. So you gotta always remember speaking to other people and speaking under pressure is just like speaking alone. There's no difference. Audiences don't make any difference. In fact, you can speak better. The more people you have in front of you, the better you can speak. You can train yourself to do the reverse.
Mhm.
Instead of getting worse, you get better. Wow, isn't that nice? You can do this. This isn't rocket science. I'm not a rocket scientist. You know, we're this much different. There's nothing I'm doing that you can't do. Nothing. Zero. Zero. But you got to jump in the pool and swim, and you got to make a full commitment to swimming. You cannot be thinking about playing tennis when you're in the swimming pool. And so, link when you talk, link your words right now, as I am doing. Pretend you're singing. My name is IBROSS. Say that.
My name is IBROSS.
I like to speak.
I like to speak.
I love pronunciation.
I love pronunciation.
I link my words
I link my words
and have long stops.
and have long stops.
It's so much fun.
It's so much fun.
I can't tell you.
I can't tell you.
And I speak better
And I speak better
every day
every day
under pressure
under pressure
is my favorite
is my favorite
time to talk.
time to talk.
You know, Ebros, you can reverse the script.
Mhm.
You can change this now. There's no time requirement. Oh, this takes so many times, days, weeks, months. No, there's no time element here at all. You can make up your mind to be fluent this minute,
Mhm.
and you can do it till the day you drop. You can absolutely do it. It's all here. And all our methods are ways to help you do it a little easier, a little faster. That's all they are. They're temporary tools. I think that they also make us better speakers than most people. When we finish our program, most of us are better speakers than anybody we know. Isn't that nice? And you
Yes.
can do this, Ebros. You can do this, and you will do it if you stay on this program. but you got to stay until you love to speak everywhere. And you can't take time off. You got to do your mind training every day. You got to do your reading aloud, especially now because you need to be hearing it. Now, have you made any recordings of yourself being fluent?
I have, yes. I have
And what? Okay. And do you play those recordings?
I do.
And
Yes.
when do you play them?
As I'm walking and also as I'm driving.
Okay. And how about when you're sleeping?
Not.
Okay, I know you're married, and that's a bit of a problem for playing recordings at night. I understand that. I got a wife too. But you need that, or I don't know. Look, I'm no technical guy, but if you turn it way, way, way down, so it's gonna be something you can just. And you know, I'm sure she wants you to overcome this problem, and she's your best cheerleader, you know, and that's great. So she's gonna be as tolerant as she can be. And I think if you turn it way, way, way down and play, you'll pick up 8 more hours of what? Of hearing yourself be fluent every day in every way. I grow better and better. You say I'm in a monotone for sleeping. Every day in every way I grow better. My speech grows better and better. Every day in every way my speech grows better and better. And you say this 20 times each one. So playing them when you sleep, hypnosis means, it's Greek, it means sleep. When you're asleep, it's when you're most receptive. Your subconscious mind, 95% of your brain, 5% conscious. Your conscious brain sleeps, your subconscious never does. It's always in business. That's why you dream some nights. So your subconscious needs, you can feed it another 8, if you're in bed 8 hours, which I hope you are.
Yeah.
You can feed your brain for 8 hours, man. You pick up 8 hours. Why don't you do that?
I have to do that. I have this.
Okay, I mean, listen, you're on a crash program. You can't rely on me to be here next week or ever. I'm too old and I got my own problems, you know. So you gotta be on I gotta finish this. I gotta do it ASAP. I gotta get control of this. Look, if you were speaking absolutely perfectly, nobody speaks perfectly, but as close to it as a human can be at the moment, you'd still need to be doing it for a long time to make it the dominant habit with virtually zero risk of reversal. And look, if you started to reverse, what do? Talk less, use your crutches, work more on your speech plan, give yourself extra mind training treatments daily. When you speak to me just a minute ago,
Yeah.
your speech was quite good. Don't kid me now. Is your speech like that between sessions, or is it up and down, up and down, up and down? What is it?
Up and down, up and down.
Okay. And that IBROSS is what we gotta stop. We gotta get it to this level that you just did it with me. You've got to get it there and you've got to keep it there. And only you can do it.
Yep.
And I have no way of knowing what you do, or being a little voice on your shoulder going, IBROSS, click, 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 you know. Basically, to me, Short-Link-Stop, and you're there, and you like pronunciation, fine, let's do that too, because it works. It takes a lot of effort to pronounce all of the syllables and word endings. Takes thought. Fine. Good. Do it. Okay, back to questions.
Yep.
Can you quantify? You said your speech has been up and down since we last spoke. Without kidding yourself or me, because I can't help you if you kid me. Without kidding yourself or me, could you put a percentage on your improvement as to how you spoke during the past week versus how you spoke before you met me, read my book?
I'd say over the past 2 weeks, I've kind of gone down a little bit. However,
Huh.
on a general scale, I've improved. I'd say 70%.
Okay, I'm going to put that down because we always need to know what we think is right.
Because 2 weeks ago, uh, my stutter was really, really good. It was really good. And then when I went on a holiday, it kind of went downhill from there.
Now, that's just BS. There is no reason for a holiday to make any difference whatsoever. You say, well, I didn't have enough time to do my reading or this or that. Well, I think you did. Um, everything is a question of priorities, and we always manage to do what we want to do. You can skip a meal and do a mind training treatment. You can get up earlier and do a mind training treatment. You can stay up a little later and do a mind training treatment. Um, insofar as the way you speak, to me, 24/7, you got to pretend you're talking. If it helps you, I assume it would, that you're talking to me.
Yes,
When you talk to, pretend my face is behind them, staring at you. Because if that makes you try harder, then do it.
it does.
And just say, Jesus, he would be so ticked off at me. He would be screaming and pounding his desk, being the lunatic he is. So, look, it's so. I know you want to do better,
Yeah.
but you don't want it quite enough, in my opinion. You don't, because if you really do, you make up your mind, hey, if it kills me, what I do in that session with Coach Lee, I can do that all the time. You can,
Yes.
don't you? Don't you
Yes.
think you can?
Of course.
And so, I mean, and the more you do it, the easier it is to do it. It's like curling a weight.
Mhm.
After a while, you can curl 35 like it was 15 or 20. You just get stronger. Your habits change. When you have a habit of linking your words, you won't force any words. Your only possible problem will be the first word. I'll say it. No word will be a problem for me. Another thing to do with the first word is elongate it. I don't like elongation because it sounds like a robot talking, but on the first word, it's okay. Because Lee Lovett is my name. IBROSS, blah, 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 blah is my name. A lot of times, elongating the first word is a real easy way to avoid a problem. And it's not forcing it. You just stretch it a little bit. And you can combine it with crutch 8, modulation, going high, low, loud, or soft. My name is Lee. So, stuttering, stretching first word. Come on, yes. Right, right. Stretch first word. It can just, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it's in learning something new. Like if you were learning tennis and the tennis pro is telling you how to do certain strokes and everything else. If you only did them during the coaching lesson, and then you went back and did your old ways, you wouldn't get any better. And you're somewhere in between that. During the coaching session, you try harder.
Yes.
And then for a little bit, maybe you do after we hang up, and then you kind of drift. But you know you're drifting.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to win this war unless you're willing. It's kind of like you're in Ukraine and you're trying to drive the Russians out of your territory, and you drive them almost out, and then you stop and leave them alone for a while, and they come back.
Yeah.
And then you push them back to the border again, and you forget about them. You don't keep pushing them. You got to keep pushing them until they're too far away to come back. And we don't know how long that is. You'll know when you get there. You'll stop planning words. It will not be intuitive or instinctive or automatic to force them. It won't be anymore. It'll be automatic to do what you're doing here with your speech plan. That'll be automatic. And when that day comes, then it's really over for the stuttering guy. He's really washed up. And then any sign of him, would he like to come back? Sure, he'd like to, but he can't come back as long as, anytime you have a problem, stop talking, take a 2 count, talk less, go back into your speech plan, and realize your speech plan can make you such a good speaker. I told you got a nice speaking voice and all of that. You got a lot working for you if you'll use it. You know, if you'll let it come to the surface and be seen and heard, you got a lot working for you. Let me see if I can pull up anything to read. Put something in the chat. Okay, read me this and make me believe it.
Okay. We have free choice. We have free choice to accept or reject thoughts. Nothing compels us to think anything except our own desires. Use your mental switch to dictate your thoughts. Believe that you can improve and you will.
I love it. I love it. You did a great job with that. That was maybe the best I've heard you read aloud. And that's really good. You know, if you will think that way when you read, when you speak, if you would think about your message the way you thought about it just then reading, you're done. It's over. You don't need to think pronunciation, short, length, stop, nothing. If you can really do, if you can think about your message the way you just did when you read that, you're done. You're done. And you'll have outstanding speech because you had stops and everything else. You gave the listener a chance to think about what you said and understand what you said. You pronounced it well. You gave them a chance to think. You took the heat off them. You didn't come at them like a machine gun the way most people talk. It was great. So, right, I just put the poem Silent Words up here. This is a tearjerker. So read it to me and knock me out with it.
Behind the smiles, behind the tears, are silent words that no one hears. Conversations well thought out, but censored through my pain and doubt. So much of who is really me that most will never chance to see. From thoughts to words, there's compromise, and speech becomes an enterprise. Stuttering is not my choice. I really have a lovely voice. But words too often bond with dread, and then so much is left unsaid. I know quite well what I would say, though it may not always sound that way. If you judge me by my speech alone, the loss you face will be your own. There's much more to me than meets the ear. There's someone special living here.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I would have increased a few stops. That's it. Between stanzas, you should always stop longer because there's a major change of thought. You should double it up there. And when you get to the end of anything, there's usually punchlines in the end. So I think the closer you get to the end, the more you increase or slow down and stress more. Like, I know quite well what I would say, though it may not always sound that way. If you judge me by my speech alone, the loss you face will be your own. There's much more to me than meets the ear. There's someone special living here. You see what I'm doing?
Yes.
When you do this, there is no possibility of stuttering. Your mind is possessed with your message, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's the answer, IBROSS. Do you see?
Yes.
It's not about words, mate. It's about thoughts. And you're reading like a pro. That was so well done. Why is it you don't come to SAM meetings? I forget.
Because on Saturdays, I usually take my wife out. However, I've changed it to Sundays now so I can attend our SAM meetings.
Look, now, you just went from thinking full message on what you read to me to thinking words. It wasn't that bad, but it was labored.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be labored. There's no reason to be labored. Don't do it. I mean, you're putting a weight on your back. You don't need it. Take it off. You know, maybe if you softened your voice, it would be easier. I'm talking in a soft voice right now, rather than my regular voice. I'm talking in a soft voice. It's easier. Can you talk in a soft voice?
Yes, I can.
Show me how. Tell me something in a soft voice.
Here is my soft voice.
Doesn't sound soft to me. It's got to be halfway to a whisper.
Here is my soft voice.
That's a little better. Get a little close. Get a little closer to a whisper.
Here is my soft voice.
All right, very soft. Don't wake the baby.
I'll speak using short-pronun-Link-Stop. Every 2 to 3 words taken break.
Okay. At the same time, you gotta think about your message. You stop thinking about your message the minute you start talking. Don't do that. Think about your message. What are you trying to say to me? Do you want me to believe you? Do you?
Yes.
Well, then say it. Put something into what you say.
This is me speaking in the soft way, and it's me adding passion to my words, and it's me using short-Link-Stop.
All right. Now, tell me how long you've been married, what it is you like about your wife.
I have been married for only a year and a half, and what I'd say love of my wife is she takes care of me exactly like it was the 90s, 50s, and I love that.
Good for her. I would like that too. I love that. Yeah, that's a way to go. How do you know what people did in the 1950s? How do you know?
Because I watched a lot of movies and TV shows in based in the 1950s, and
What
yeah,
what is your favorite movie or TV show from the 50s?
I saw a TV show that was actually based in the 60s or 70s, and it was a movie called The Godfather.
Oh, Al Pacino.
Yes,
Yes, Robert De Niro and oh yeah, Robert Duvall. Uh, yeah, I love that. I love
yes,
that. Godfather. This Godfather 2 was terrific. Yeah, that was brilliantly done.
yeah.
Brilliantly done. Um, okay. I don't think that you speak in a soft voice. You sound like this and say it's your soft voice. You need to have much more of a whisper in a soft voice. You're not getting the benefit of of the softness of the voice, the way you do it. You might try a loud whisper. Try a loud. Can you talk in a loud whisper?
Here's my loud whisper.
Good. Let's work on that. Let's work on that. How did you meet your wife?
I met my wife through family connections, as our fathers were friends.
Okay. Okay. Does your wife work?
Not at the moment.
Okay. What are your long-term plans for working yourself? What do you plan?
My long-term plans is to own a contracting company in IT.
Is to what? Is to what?
Is to own a contracting company
Okay.
in IT.
Okay. What do you what part of construction do you have a specialty, like you are a carpenter or plumber, electrician, a designer, what?
I work in IT technology.
Oh,
Technology.
so a contracting company.
Contracting
You
company.
don't mean like building houses, you mean something else.
Yes.
What do you mean?
I mean having
Whisper.
having people work for me, and I send them to companies
Okay.
on a contract basis.
Okay. Were you born in London?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever tried to talk in regular conversations in a whisper?
I have.
How'd it go?
It went kind of bad.
Really? Why do you think it did?
I was thinking and words did not come out.
How do you think it would go now?
I think it would go well.
I do too. Look, the way to beat stuttering is create a habit of fluency.
Yeah.
Whether you're fluent, singing, screaming, whispering, talking in a normal voice is irrelevant. Whatever way you can get fluent counts. And then once you're fluent one way, you bleed it over into the others. So you can be creative. You know, you don't have to do the same thing all the time. Well, that is, you can whisper for a while if you wanted to. You just say, at breakfast, I'm going to whisper, or at lunch, or whatever, and do it. But what you cannot do, or what you cannot allow yourself to do, is plan or force words. Normally, you have to plan them to force them, but you've stuttered a lot in your day, as I can tell, and you know.
Yes.
So you can kind of force words without even having to go through the planning step. You got to break that habit, mate.
Okay.
You can't just hang up this Skype and go do what you do, because if you don't do it the way we do it in this session, it's a waste of time. 30 minutes with me once a week is not going to solve your problem.
Yeah.
It's when you take what we do and you do it 24/7, that solves a problem. You're the boss of you, I'm not. I know you can beat it.
Yes.
Listen, you just read aloud as well as anybody. You sounded great. Seriously. I could have put you on the stage doing that. You sounded good. Believe me. I could have put you on a stage with 1,000 people. They would have all clapped. Isn't that funny?
Yes.
But it's true. You're this close to talking like I am. Let's do it. Let's not wait for 6 months or a year or 5 years or whatever time that people think it's supposed to take. I don't know what they think. And I don't care because you're in control of doing this now, right now. You don't have
Yes.
to wait a day. You can do this. I gave you an option to your speech plan, and that is the message.
Yes.
When you read and think message, you soar like an eagle. So if if you want to do that, great. When you whisper, you're not stuttering. You want to do that, fine. You want to bounce around, fine. But don't force words. Don't do it.
I have to remember, and I have to drill in my head every single conversation I have with anybody to remember short, link, stop, all words as one. And if I don't, I will make myself remember, if you don't use this, Lee will beat you up.
That's right. I'll give you my famous knuckle sandwich. No, you're doing great with me, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
You got to do great with you. And I'm just as interested, believe me, there's nobody any more interested in your fluency than I am.
I agree.
Wife's right there with me, but I got an advantage over here. I know how to help you.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we hang up the Skype and you're on your own. You're flying solo. You're playing the game. You're in the tournament, and there's no coaching from the sidelines from Bermuda. So what you just said is exactly right. The only thing I would add to it is that when you think about your message, how can you say it like you mean it? You're done. That's all I would add to what you said. What you said is absolutely true, but it is also true that if you can think message and really put yourself into it, be bold, be daring, you're going to dive into the pool and actually swim instead of dog paddle. You're going to swim all the way to the other end of the pool. When you make up your mind to do that and do it, you're done. Because you heard yourself read aloud. You can't fake that.
Yes.
That's the real IBROSS. That's the guy I'm betting on. That's the guy. So I'll see you next week. Is that it?
Of course. Yes.
All right. Say hello to your wife and
Of course, coach.
tell her you're going to keep up the good work.
Every conversation I have, I will.
I love it, man. Talk then. I'll see you at SAM, I hope.
I'll be there.
And don't hesitate to say a few words. If you don't want to, I understand. But if you can say, I really enjoyed your speech, or what crutch do you prefer, or anything, or just it's nice to be here. It's my first time, or whatever. Anything you say is helpful to you and to other people.
Yes.
So, and I'm not saying you've got to say something, because I think if you really feel like you shouldn't, then don't. But again, you learn to swim by swimming. So, saying a little something, and then the next time a little bit more. That's kind of the way it is.
I will, yes.
All right, I'll see you then. Take care of yourself.
Take care, coach.
All right.